Hi guys, so today I'm going to be filming my labor and delivery story for my son who is now 9 weeks old. His name is Marshall, and I just want to film this basically so that I can look back on it and kind of remember what happened, because even though he's 9 weeks old, I'm already starting to kind of forget everything that happened. I have notes right here that I'm going to be looking at, so if you see me looking down, that's what it is. So he was born on May 30th, 2018 at about 2 a.m. that morning. I started having really regular contractions, and they were maybe 4 to 5 minutes apart or so, and I've been having them kind of off and on throughout the night. Then they started to pick up every 2 to 3 minutes or so, and I was like, okay, so I'm just gonna lay in bed and try to go to sleep, and if they, they'll probably end up going away. If not, I'll just call the doctor. So they ended up really picking up every 2 to 3 minutes. I went ahead and laid in the bath for maybe an hour or so, and they kind of stopped when I was in the bath, to be honest, and then I got out and they kind of started picking back up. So I just laid in bed and I was like, okay, I'm gonna call the doctor in maybe an hour if they continue. At about 4:45 in the morning, I was laying in bed. I had a pillow between my legs. My husband was asleep next to me, and I felt a pop inside my stomach. My water ended up breaking. And I was kind of just asking myself, did my water break or did he just kick really hard? I didn't know. So I decided to get up and start walking around. And I got up and I went into the bathroom and I sat down and I peed. And then I sat there for a few minutes and I just kept feeling water coming out of me. So I just pulled my pants up and started to walk around, and I could feel it, and I decided to call my doctor and just tell her what was going on, and she said, okay, go ahead and come to the hospital whenever you're ready. She told me I didn't need to rush or anything. I wasn't like in super active labor, like I wasn't in immense pain or anything. So I decided to go ahead and just, honestly, I put some makeup on. Like I put makeup on and I put my hair in a ponytail. I got dressed. I went in there and woke up my husband and told him what was going on, and he got up and started getting ready, and I kind of picked up a couple things around the house, my bag together, and maybe 30 minutes later we ended up going, and by this time it was maybe 6 a.m., 5:30 a.m., and we live right outside Dallas. It was early in the morning, so there was a lot of traffic. We were maybe in traffic for an hour, and we ended up getting to the hospital. And what happened when I got to the hospital is they went ahead and took me into a triage room, and they said, okay, we're gonna leave you in here for a little bit just to see if your water actually broke. And I was like, okay. And they were trying to like swab and see if they could get like on a cotton swab and it would change color if it was my water breaking. It wasn't turning color, so she didn't think that my water had actually broken. She kept trying to check every few minutes and just nothing was happening. And she just kind of like got a pad and like left the cotton swab down there for a few minutes, and she said, tell me when you feel fluid coming out and I'm gonna check it. And I said, okay. We waited maybe like 10 minutes and she just was asking me some questions, trying to get all my information together, and I told her when I felt the fluid, and she looked and she said, okay, I'm still not seeing anything, so I'm gonna have to do a pelvic exam. I knew that my water had broken and I didn't want her to send me home. So she went and got one of the speculum and she checked, and she said, I'm gonna have to move the baby's head out of the way because what's happening is your water probably broke and his head is probably blocking the hole so no fluid's coming out. And she said it's probably gonna, be pretty uncomfortable. And I just said, okay. And she ended up getting up there and pushing the baby's head out of the way, and as soon as she did that, a whole bunch of fluid came out, and she said, okay, I can see that your water did break, so we're gonna go ahead and admit you. And I guess it was the middle of a shift change because me and my husband were in triage for like an hour, and by this time my water had broken a few hours ago, so my contractions were picking up. They were every like 2 minutes apart. She said when she checked my cervix that I was a 3.5 to a 4 at that point, which surprised me because I thought I was only going to be at like a 1 or 2. Eventually I had to tell my husband, can you ask them when they're going to put me in a room? So he got up and he found one of the nurses and he said, hey, she's in a lot of pain and we need to go ahead and get into a room, and we're just wondering when that's gonna happen. And they said, oh, okay, we're just waiting on a room to be cleaned for her, and then we're gonna move her into a room. And he said, okay. So we went back and sat down. Maybe like 15 minutes later he said, hey, are we still waiting on a room to be cleaned because she's really kind of wanting to get her epidural? And they said, okay, we're waiting on a room to be cleaned, but we can put her in a different room, it's just not as big. We just said that was fine. We didn't really care either way. And honestly, the room that they put me in, it was a really big, nice room. So I don't even know what kind of room they were cleaning. I don't know how it could have been bigger and nicer than the one that we were in. But they finally got me into a room, and the nurse came in and introduced herself, and she was asking me some questions, trying to get me all admitted and checked in. And she said, "Do you want to go ahead and get your epidural?" And I said, "Yes, I do want to go ahead and get my epidural." And she said, "Okay, we want you to lay on the bed, and we're gonna hook up these monitors to you just to check the baby's heart rate and your contractions." But I had been on those monitors like in triage for an hour and a half or so, and I said, "I really don't think I can lay down because like I'm really in a lot of pain." And she said, "Okay, you were on the monitors for a little while, so that's okay, we can just hook them up to you and you can stand." So they hooked them up to me, and she went and got, I guess, another nurse, and they put an IV in me, and they started giving me a bag of fluids. They said, "Give us about 15 minutes for these fluids to get into your body, and then we'll call the anesthesiologist." He was there within like 5 to 10 minutes. Like, it didn't take long at all. I was really, really nervous, but they just said, "It's gonna be quick, it'll be easy. We're gonna set you on the bed, and we'll raise you up really, really high, and then your husband can sit in front of you, and we'll just walk you through the whole thing." So that's basically what happened, and I thought it was gonna hurt really bad. I'm kind of a wimp when it comes to stuff like that, but it didn't hurt at all, really. I was pretty comfortable by that point. I couldn't feel my contractions very much or anything. About 11 o'clock, and she said, "You're about a 4. She said, "We'll come back and check you in 2 hours and see where you are." They ended up giving me Pitocin too. I don't know why. She didn't want my labor to stall, which I was fine with. And we visited for 2 hours with family. She came in about 2 hours later, about 1 o'clock, and said, "Okay, you're at a 5. We'll come back and check you in another hour and see where you are." Or no, she said 2 hours. "We'll come back and check you in another 2 hours and see where you are." It was about an hour and a half later, and I need her to come check me because I'm feeling a lot of pressure. So I had to adjust the camera because the lighting was getting pretty bad. But anyway, I told my husband I needed him to call the nurse to come recheck me just because I was feeling a lot of pressure, and I didn't really know if that was normal. So they came and checked me, and it was like, or I don't know, honestly, the time is like kind of a blur because it kind of all happened so quickly. And they checked me, and she said, "You're at a 9. I was really surprised because just an hour before I was at a 5. They said, "Okay, we'll give you another hour, and in another hour you should be at 10 centimeters. We waited maybe 15 to 20 minutes, and I told him I need her to come check me again because I'm feeling a lot of pressure. And she came and checked me and said, "Okay, yeah, you're at a 10, and told everyone to leave the room. She said, "We're gonna call the doctor." Doctor came in maybe 10 minutes later. By this point, it was maybe 3 o'clock. Like I said, my time is all blurred, so this could all be wrong, but I know by this point it was about 3 o'clock when the doctor came in. They pulled my legs up, and I had my mom, my mother-in-law, and my husband in the room. My husband, we told him to hold my leg, and he did for a second, and then he got kind of, I don't know, he's kind of a wimp, honestly. So he said he didn't want to hold my leg because he was afraid he would pass out. So my mom held my leg for me, and he filmed the birth. And I pushed for maybe 30 minutes. At 3:31, my son came out, and they put him on my chest. That's how he was born, and he was 6 pounds, 11 ounces, and he was 19 inches long. And after that, we went up to recovery. We were there for about 3 days, and then I was able to go home. But honestly, I was just so glad. It was such an easy labor and delivery experience. I know people that are first-time moms and their labor is like 24 hours or 30 hours, and mine was only, it was like 12 hours. I mean, it wasn't crazy because for a majority of the time my contractions weren't too bad or anything. I can't imagine being in that much pain for that long, and I'm glad I didn't have any issues with my epidural or anything. But I hope that with our next baby it goes really smooth as well. I hope you enjoyed this video, and let me know if there's any other videos that you want me to film because I'm kind of wanting to get into YouTube a little bit more. But I'm probably gonna make a 2-month update for my baby. I really hope you subscribe to my channel and comment down below and let me know if there's anything else you want to see.